Meanwhile, back in Blackpool, Jerry's still stripping down the control unit. What makes it so special and complex are the 90 contacts that control the flow of electricity to the motors. Each one is like a switch, allowing a bit more power to flow down to the motors. Older control units only had 8 contacts, resulting in 8 jerky settings between off and full power. But it's these 90 contacts in our controller that are the key to the tram's gentle acceleration. Each one has to be stripped down and overhauled, and that's giving Jerry grief.
What's not supposed to happen? What was that? They're all bust.
Then, as Jerry gets to the end of stripping down the control unit, things get much worse, and the chances of Philip ever getting to drive his tram take a nosedive.
Earth's this? Oh no. Liner right. We've had a fire in here. It's toast.
Very expensive toast at that. The whole ring onto which the parts of the control unit are fixed will have to be replaced. And that's not a job we can do ourselves.
It's a heap of scrap. What we need is a piece of material to replace it with that is not only insulating but heat-proof, but also can be bent in a circle and be capable of taking 1,001 holes. I don't know how to do that. I knew we were biting off more than we could chew when we took this thing on, and now we're in very, very serious stuck.
Too right we're in stuck. No ring, no controller. No controller, no tram. The squad are 3 months into the restoration of our Coronation tram. The 4 motors have been overhauled and reinstalled, but the all-important control unit has thrown up some major problems.
We've had a fire in here.
With heavy hearts, Jerry and Brian have shipped it off to the same specialists who repaired the motors, to have a new framework made up to replace the one damaged by fire. Back in Blackpool, Claire's getting on with her task, refurbishing the huge trolley pole that will take over 500 volts of electricity down into the tram. First job, replacing the 50-year-old insulation.
There are just hundreds of jobs like this in restoration where it's just filthy, it's dirty, you take it all apart, and then when you put it back together, no one knows. No one really knows what you've done.
With the squad cracking on, I'd arranged to meet up with the Coronation's owner, Philip Higgs, for a game of snooker in the Tramworks canteen. Perhaps he could put me in touch with an old driver who'd actually driven one of our trams and could shed some light on their demise.
Oh, and look, obviously they're quite different to drive, aren't they? And I'm pretty sure there's no one here who's driven one, is there?
No, everyone that will have driven them will be retired by now. There's no one left at Blackpool Transport that's driven them.
So, if we wanted to find someone who had driven one, where would we start?
I think Blackpool Transport might be able to help us out,
Yeah.
maybe with some retired tram drivers that are on the books.
Well, I think that's what we're going to have to do, Phil, is try and find one of the old drivers to give us all a bit of instruction.
Yeah?
Maybe you can teach snooker as well.
So how's the tram getting on then, Suggs?
It's coming on. They've got the motors stripped and they've taken out the control units, but it's quite a job, yeah.
Yeah?
Good shot, Phil. Excellent, mate. Let's hope it's going a bit better than that.
Outside, the weather was typical for late August. And the British summer was even entering the tram shed. But you can't keep a good squad down.
Could be worse, could be on the beach.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
What's next then?
Lots of panels. I think I should get on with it.
Right you are.
Yeah.
Off you go.
The outside of the tram will be covered by a thin skin of aluminium panels, so Axel's popped over to the body shop to start cutting out the new ones. So as they don't vibrate against the metal frame of the tram, Claire and Jerry are getting into a bit of recycling, cutting out old seat covers and gluing them onto the framework. Where's Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen when you need him? The next job is to paint the back of each panel with a red oxide paint.
This red oxide, Joe, is fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. I love it.
Keeps all the rust off.
Goodness, Claire, we've got a regular Lowry over here.
With Jerry's masterpiece painted out, it's time to put on the first of the 70-odd panels that cover the body and the roof.
That's it. Whack it up. Just slide over a bit.
Oh, is he hanging over the panels? You drill them, I'll fill them. Well, 2 on. Many more to go. It looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's beginning to look like a tram.
It's the start. It's the start.
Starts,
It's a
yeah.
start.
Plenty more to do.
The final part of the process is to put a simple aluminium bead over the joint to tidy it up.
You got that?
Yeah.
And then, should get that first one in then. It's looking good, isn't it?
It is. It's all coming together. Oh, and you've got to line screw heads up properly, because when you went on the other trams, fitted it up and down the front, every single screw head
single
was
one.
lined up. It's
Okay.
wonderful.
Yeah.
With the bodywork coming together, the squad are making real progress. And things are shining at my end too. I've managed to track down Jack Nichols, an 83-year-old tram driver who drove a Coronation tram when I was still at primary school.
It was great to drive them, you know. A roomy cab, decent seat, instead of a bit of wood with a bit of plastic on it. You could sit down, pick up all the controls around you, very handy, you know.
And beautiful to look at.
Well, I won't say beautiful, but certainly it was good looking, you know, and it had this different look, you see. It shone, as it were, in the sun, as compared to the old green and cream of the other cars. It did stand out.
After hearing the good points, I had to ask Jack the killer question. If they were so great, why ain't they around today?
It was no problem until you could be driving sort of 99 times out of 100 until on that one occasion, 1 in 100 times, you would put the brake on and nothing would happen. And this was rather off-putting, to say the least, you know. The road was clear, just moved across, put some power on to take her across, and then, pshong, I missed it. There was a van crossed my path and missed it by about 3 inches. And the thing was that at the next Heathrow Road, the next stop, pulled up just normally. It wasn't until after the trouble started that drivers began to be a bit wary, and they would refer to these trams as spivs. The spivs were very flash characters. You see, they were very good to look at, very flashy, but they didn't work too well occasionally.
So, it seems we have the answer to the demise of the Coronation. The culprit was our old friend, the over-complex control unit. It might have given one heck of a smooth ride, but it was gremlins. Sometimes it jammed on, resulting in 20 tons of tram hurtling down the prom unable to stop. Hopefully, that won't happen when Phil gets behind the controls. Because ours has been fully refurbished and has arrived back, all wrapped up like an early Christmas present.
There, that. Hope it doesn't drop it in the pit.
Don't even think about it.
Here we are.
Oh, this is better than Christmas, this is.
It is, yeah. Go on. Well, there we are.
Whoa, it's all new.
Hey. Beautiful.
Isn't it just? Wow.
That got it.
Oh, wow.
It's looking good. The only new van back in the world, eh?
Yeah, in the world.
With the control unit back, it's time to put it in the roof and install Claire's new insulated trolley pole. The first job is to gingerly winch the control unit back up into its housing.
Well, I hope we don't break it at this late stage.
Right, this way, do we have to rotate it? So, fight for the space.
That's a good job, wasn't it,
Yeah,
Joe?
brilliant. Smashing that.
Nice one, Claire.
Yeah,
That wasn't too
smashing.
bad.
No, it was grand, wasn't it?
Yeah. A lot easier getting it in than taking it out.
Oh, struggle, wasn't it?
Well, that's fantastic.
Right,
job.
let's get the tower on.
Okay,
on then.
let's do it.
The tower, which Claire's overhauled, sits above the control unit and forms the base for the newly insulated trolley pole. The trolley pole is the key to making the whole tram work. Powerful springs on the tower keep it pushed hard up against the overhead wire. At the other end, there's a brass wheel with a groove in it, which simply rolls along the wire, ensuring a good contact is maintained at all times.
The trolley base rotates through 180 degrees so that when you get to the end of the track and you want to turn round, just move it around when the trolley pole's sticking out the back so you can change direction. It's brilliant, really simple, very easy. Chaps, can I have the trolley arm?
All right, mate. Got it. Yep, got it. You're too short, Claire.
That's if you get along.
Come on, my arm's starting to hurt.
So one you've got the easier.
Yeah. Well, I think that's enough cranking up now. Do you want to give it a go now, Claire?
We have contact. Do you want to connect the cables?
Okay, mate.
Right, you put me some tape on that connection now, Les?
With the safety padlocks off, it's time to throw the switch.
Right, Jerry, go for it, mate.
We've got
Yay!
We've got power.
Well, at least we've got power to the lights. But the control unit's real job is to supply 550 volts to the 4 motors. And we won't know if it's up to it until it's Phil's big day on the prom. And there's lots of work to be done before that.
What we need now is more trim, more windows, seats in.
Yep.
Do the pretty, shall we?
Yeah.
Come then.
We're nearing the end of the restoration of our 1952 Blackpool Coronation tram. There's been one or two hairy moments, particularly with its over-complex control system.
Toast!
But now things are back on track. The control units and Axel's refurbished motors have been reinstalled, and electricity has flowed into the tram for the first time in decades. Well, if only to the lights.
We've got power.
Now the electrics have been done, it's time to turn our attentions to the pretty bits, turning her back into the queen she was in 1952.